Daniel Hall here, progressing, percolating, and evolving. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how to build your own audience from scratch, starting with nothing. A big part of your success as an expert is in having your own audience. And as you probably already know, you don't have an audience of your own. Most people don't start life with their own audience. So it is incumbent upon you to build your audience. And what we're going to chat about today is taking somebody else's audience that is kind of like yours, that is substantially similar to yours, and co-opting that audience to the extent possible so that a part of their audience becomes a part of yours. The first thing that I want you to understand is it's really difficult to build an audience in a vacuum. If nobody knows you, if no one is helping you, I would say it's practically impossible to build an audience. Think about it this way. When a starlet or somebody that aspires to be an actor goes to Hollywood as an unknown, they have zero audience. They go to Hollywood because Hollywood knows how to build an audience. They get help, in other words, and that's what I'm telling you to do in today's video. There are specific strategies that you can implement that make that process so much easier and make your success so much faster. The second step in the process is to determine or identify other audiences that are similar to the audience that you want to build. In other words, you identify other people, other organizations that already have a group congregated around them and the ideas that perhaps you are bringing to the marketplace. You look for opportunities to insert yourself in that audience. Insert yourself as a member of that audience and grow from there. So let me give you an example from my own career. As some of you know, I did a book called Speak on Cruise Ships, which teaches speakers how to trade their public speaking talents for free luxury cruises worldwide. Now, when I started that book, when I actually came to market with that book, I had no audience. No one knew who I was. No one really cared. And I knew that I had to build an audience in order to sell that book. So what I did was I identified other experts that already already served that market, and determined, hey, these people, these companies already have an audience built around them. Let me see what I could do to insert myself within that audience and then hopefully co-opt some of them. I befriended them and I did my level best to support them and their efforts. We're going to talk about what you could do to do the same in your own niche. So for lack of a better word, we're going to call this group of people influencers. Kind of an overused term, but it serves a legitimate purpose here. And for this group of influencers, you are going to actually evaluate them. You're going to test them to determine whether or not they are worth your time. Honestly, if you choose an influencer that you think is an influencer who really is not an influencer or doesn't have the kind of influence that's worth actually pursuing, you're kind of, you're spinning your wheels. There is all kinds of indications on how big of an influencer a particular expert is. First thing you need to look at is, do they have an email list? You're going to know that by going over to one of their websites, perhaps their main website, and you're going to look for places where people can opt in to an email list. Email marketing is still king or queen, depending on your perspective. If they do in fact have an email list, your next step is to join that email list. See what they send, see how frequently they send out emails. Look at the types of messages that they are sending to the community that you eventually want to reach. And the other thing you're going to do is you're going to determine whether they have a podcast. And you can kind of tell how popular a podcast is, even if it's a teeny tiny niche, by looking at the number of reviews that that podcast may have on a directory site like iTunes. If they have lots of reviews, and when I say lots of reviews, let's say any more than 25 reviews, that's pretty good indication that they probably have a decent sized audience, even if it's a highly niched or narrow topic. Look at whether you can do a review for them. And we're going to talk more about the fantastic power of doing reviews for other people and how you could use it as a relationship builder here in just a second. We've talked about whether they have an email list. We've talked about whether they have a podcast. The other thing I want you to look at is whether or not they have a social media following and what platforms is that following on. Is it Instagram? Is it Facebook? Is it Twitter? Is it Reddit? Is it somewhere else? Your job there is to join their groups, follow them, befriend them. You're going to want to start supporting them as well when you make the determination that they're worth pursuing. Look at whether they have a YouTube channel, which, by the way, have you smashed the like button yet? Go ahead and do that right now if you haven't. Again, these are all things that you are looking at to determine whether or not somebody has an audience big enough for you to pursue yourself. Because remember, the whole theme here is to identify somebody else's audience that you want to build that's similar to the one you want to create and co-opting them to the extent possible to your audience. The next thing you need to do is essentially make the decision on who you want to pursue as a particular audience member. I want you to think about this as an exercise in ingratiating yourself to that community and to that expert, to that influencer. This is all about influencer outreach. That's what this is all about. You're reaching out to them, and the thing that you're going to do, and by and large, this is one of the easiest ways to get an influencer's attention, is to simply buy your way in. What do I mean by that? If they are in your niche, buy whatever it is that they have. If it's a course, if it's a coaching program, if it's a book, whatever it is, you buy it. And importantly, not just buy it, use it and become successful with it. Okay? The easiest way for somebody to get my attention personally is they buy one of my products, one of my services, one of my courses, and do gangbusters, do really, really well with it, and then tell me about it. And not just tell me about it, but tell the world about it, which dovetails exactly into the next step here, which is to then, once you have sort of bought your way in, you do a review and you tell the world. You post it on Amazon if it's a book. You post it on YouTube if it's a product or a course. You might post it on your own blog or your own podcast, for example. All right, you let the world know about it. And then once you have let the whole world know about it, then you let the influencer know about it. You say, hey, you write them an email, you direct message them and say, just thought you'd like to know here, I just posted a review on iTunes for your podcast or whatever, okay? If you want to really make friends with somebody, this is what you do. You will get noticed, most likely, okay? Especially if at the same time and sort of along the way, you've been supporting them along in social media. You've been liking their post. You've been sharing their content. That is super, super important that you do those things. Okay, now they know who you are. They have identified you as a friendly, right? Somebody that has proven to support them in their community. How do you now parlay that sort of foot in the door that you've created for yourself? Well, the next thing you do is you look for an opportunity to continue to help their audience. And let me tell you a couple different ideas on how to do that. The next thing you could certainly do is you can offer to write a guest blog post for them. You could offer a video of them that you will post on your own YouTube channel, or that you are going to do a podcast interview with them, okay? These sorts of things then will allow you to continue the conversation. It gives you an opportunity to converse back and forth with them and maybe even set up a chat, okay? You can then reach out to them and say, look, I have, fill in the blank, an idea for a product that's going to serve your niche. What I would like to do for you, listen very closely to this, what I would like to do for you is I would like to create a product for your group. You keep 100% of the profits. I want nothing from this. The only thing I do want from it is when people buy the product or download it if you're going to decide to give it away for free, I also want those leads. I also want those email subscribers. Mamma mia, that is so powerful, and so few people will do it. Yet, if you were to approach an influencer like me with a proper product idea that I know would serve my audience, and you've already identified yourself as somebody with integrity, somebody that is a supporter of mine, chances are I am going to say yes, or at least very seriously consider it. Now, you may not hit every single person, all right? Not every single person that you approach in this way may say yes, but you do it probably less than a handful of times. So 5 times, I bet you will probably land at least 2 people that give you a big thumbs up. Which, by the way, if you have not yet liked this video, please go ahead and do that right now. So in wrapping up, you can take these opportunities to co-opt other people's list, to co-opt and make their audience a part of your audience and serve both them and their audience as you go. It is a true win-win-win situation all the way around. This is how you build your audience completely from scratch doing this influencer outreach. So I hope you got immense value from today's video. If you will use the strategy that I presented today, you can just do wonderful things and do it very, very quickly. Please go ahead and hit that like button. Also, if you are new to the channel, I want to welcome you, invite you to subscribe, because I put out content like this all the doggone time, and I don't want you missing not a single episode of this. So please go ahead and subscribe right now. Hit the little bell notification so that you'll know every time that I turn out one of these videos for you. Last, I do have a number of other videos that I think you're going to love. I'll post them somewhere, here, there, everywhere, somewhere around here. Go check it out. And finally, remember, and this very much is in keeping with what we discussed today, be the blessing.